Okay. Hi there. Hello. Good evening. Good morning. Good noon. Whatever it is for you. I promised this video a few days ago, and I've been putting it off because it's not an easy story for me to tell, but we're going to give it a shot anyways. I've never told the story of how I went from a tent to this amazing suite in its entirety before to anybody. A few people know most of the bits and pieces of it, but nobody's ever heard the full whole story. It's got some interesting bits, for sure. OnlyFans, a husband who thinks a baby's his, um, divorce, funny stuff, sad stuff, schwacking myself stuff. Like, it's it's a tough story to get through. And Schwack is not gooning, by the way. um, you're gonna see me check, use notes while I do this because I've got lupus. I'm one of the 10% of men in the world that have lupus, and one of the symptoms I get hit hard with is something called lupus fog. Uh, I forget things. I get confused, especially with dates. I'm terrible with dates. My kids will tell you they all have to remind me of each other's birthdays, and it sucks. But you figure out ways to get through it, and you do your best. But yeah, my brain is basically like if that dopehead Casey Tron had CTE on top of her smoking dope. And that's probably where my brain's at most of the time. So, let's start at the very beginning. Let's start with the divorce. It was probably like 7, 8 years ago. My fault entirely. Um, I was a stay-at-home dad for about 10 years, and probably about halfway through, once the kids really got into school, I got bored. Um, so I had a little job at the church fixing things. I've been in construction all my life. So I would fix things at the church, but I was also dealing drugs, doing some collections, things like that. And then COVID hit. Now, my ex had no clue what I was getting up to while she was at work. I mean, she had a clue, but she didn't know. And then COVID hits and she's home 24/7 and she figured it out real quick. Like real quick. And she's a good girl. That seems to be all I ever date is good girls, go to church and all that. Um, she'd never been involved with anything like that before. She knew in my youth I was a drug dealer and a bad man, and but she thought I had retired because I had, but then I got bored. Um, we didn't need the money. I just did it for the rush. Well, sometimes we needed the money, but mostly I just enjoyed it, to be honest. Not gonna lie. That's one thing about this channel. I'm not gonna lie to you. Um, how can we connect if I'm being fake? You know, I don't understand how Hassan and those orbiters have built their following, built their subs just being so fake and phony. It is mind blowing. And they're so obvious about it. Um, Getting away from the subject because I don't want to do this, but we're gonna do it. So she drops the bomb on me that we're getting divorced. We go down to Myrtle Beach for a week, come back. Next day is my birthday, and the day we get divorced, the day we go to court. Um, Now, I was a complete dumbass, and I believed her when she said, do this, 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 and this, and, we'll get back together and everything will be fine. Moron is here. I believed her. I agreed to whatever she wanted in the divorce, thinking, I'm going to fix this. No problem. No, big problem. So I had to leave the house. The house that I found, the house that I pushed for us to get out of apartments and get into, I had to leave. I didn't know what she was going to do. Especially, I didn't know what she was going to do with my kids. I didn't know if she was going to move back to her parents. I didn't know if she was going to stay. We were about 3 hours away from her parents. Um, so I wasn't sure what to do. I didn't know which way to turn. So I took my tent and I went to the state park. And I started staying in the state park. Well, that adds up quick. And it's not the best accommodations. So in the beginning, I was allowed to come back and shower and do that because she was keeping up the ruse that we were going to get back together. So after probably a month of staying in the state parks, I couldn't do it anymore. I had to move tent sites every few days, and it sucked. So I found a campground that was pretty close by and cheaper and seemed like it would probably be better. Little did I know I was moving into Meth Haven. Oh boy. Yeah. Now, staying in a tent in Meth Haven was pretty rough. I was off like in a corner of the property by myself. I didn't associate with any of those motherfuckers. God almighty, maybe two teeth in the whole friggin' place. So I'm off by myself. Winter comes. Got cold quick. This wasn't one of those nice tents you see on YouTube where they got the wood burning stove and everything inside of it. No, 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 no. I had like 10 extension cords running into that motherfucker, and I had 4 space heaters and a heated blanket, the whole works. That was alright. That wasn't too bad. But then the snow hit. In South Carolina, we get snow, well, especially in the upstate where we were, at least once or twice a year. Um, but this snowstorm was pretty dramatical for where we are, and the roof collapsed. I ended up with pneumonia, and the owner of the park was a wicked nice guy, but he was stuck in a wheelchair, and the residents kind of walked all over him because he was a good Christian man, and he convinced me to move into one of the cabins he had. It was more money, but you know what was I gonna do? My tent had collapsed. It was the middle of winter, so I moved into one of the cabins. Cool. I was able to get my dog and out of my ex-wife's house and had him with me. And that was pretty good for a while. That wasn't too bad. I mean, it was a tiny cabin, just one bed, toilet, um, microwave, and that was it. I think it had a TV. No, no, I gave the TV to a different cabin whose TV had broken because I mainly watch TV on my phone. I don't know why I'm weird like that. So yeah, stay in there for a while, and then I bought a camper, one of those massive fifth wheels. This thing was awesome. It was like a small one bedroom apartment essentially, but it had a pull out couch. The table turned into a bed, so there was room for me and my boys. Yeah, at this point, I got four sons. One in Massachusetts, three down here from this marriage. So that was great. That was amazing. Pretty quickly after I bought the camper, this woman bought the campground and she turned it over completely. Me and maybe three or four other people were the only ones that were allowed to stay. Everyone else got thrown the fuck out. She wasn't having it. She was going to have a nice, decent, respectable place. And she put a lot of hard work and effort into it, and she got there. But staying in the camper was so awesome, man. The kids, oh, it was camping every time they came over. You know, what young boy doesn't love that? We'd go down in the woods and hunt squirrels. There was a horse right across the street that we were, just awesome, awesome. Can't recommend that more. I wouldn't recommend it full time for the kids, but every other weekend plus a few nights during the week, amazing, absolutely amazing. Um, so let's get to the juicy stuff. Mind you, this whole time through the divorce, I'm single. Not because I'm waiting for her at this point, because my sons weren't ready for it. She decided to start dating almost right away, and it hurt my sons really bad. They thought we were gonna get back together, and all of a sudden she's with this next man, and he's buying them gifts. He bought them these cheap, like, dig a fossil out of clay bullshit. The kids showed me, and I said, you know, the fuck. They said, "Don't worry, Dad, we got it." They took the fucking things out of the garage, grabbed my hammer, blew those fucking little fake dinosaur pieces of shit. Oh, it was great. Oh, I was so proud of them. So, my son's best friend, his mom was pretty hot. His mom was very hot in my eyes. One day out of the blue, she calls me up. Her brother-in-law is living in the cabin next to me. And she asked me if her car is there. I said, no, I don't see your car. Well, it turns out her husband was a little meth muppet. I didn't know that. Apparently, well, I'll get to that later, but yeah. So she's wanting to know if he's next door ripping meth bongs. I'm like, well, no, he ain't over there. And I hang up and I look at my sons and I tell him what happened. And I think there's trouble in paradise. She had already had a couple boyfriends before she met this clown. They all hated me. I'm a very protective man, I guess, when it comes to women. And this is my son's best friend's mother, so yeah, I was attracted to her, but she could have been a 300-pound whale and I would have been just as protective. It's just in my nature, just who I am. But they didn't see it as innocent protection. They knew, but whatever. And I said to my sons, I'm like, wouldn't it be funny if Daddy ended up with her? Yeah, sure, Daddy, that would be funny. So, I guess they keep fighting. Comes time for my son's birthday. She comes over with her kids. Mind you, she's best friends with my ex-wife. End of the day, they're all kids are saying goodbye, and she comes up to me and she goes, if it wasn't for your ex-wife, I'd spend a lot more time with you. It had been like 3, 4 years at this point that I hadn't been with anybody. Hold that thought. Hey, ex-wife, it okay if me and her start spending, more time together? Yeah, cool, thank you. Boop. When do you want to hang out? Now, she's still married, of course, but she told me, it ain't going too well. It ain't gonna last. So, you know, whatever. Start hanging out with her, real light middle school flirting. The closest I had come to flirting with her before all this was one night at a Boy Scout meeting. She came in wearing pajama pants. Now, I got a thing for pajama pants. I don't know why. It's just something about the way a female rump looks in pajama pants. It's better than lingerie, if you ask me. I mean, no, it's not, but it's pretty damn good, you know? And I looked at her and I go, those are some friggin' pajamas. That's it. That's the only thing I had said to her. That's the closest you could say I came to breaking my marital vows and flirting. Shit, where was I? Oh yeah. So we're spending more time together. She throws him out. Now we're really spending some time together. Still nothing physical. I think like 2, 3 months had gone by. And then one day, as we're sitting there in the camper and the kids are playing Super Nintendo, I just gently touched her foot with my foot and left it there, letting her know, hey, that wasn't no accident. I'm a flirting. And the grin on her face, Ho Chi Minh City, was I ready to go. And things progressed from there. Yeah. Next thing you know, I'm staying at her house pretty late, having dinner with her and her kids, hanging out, and next thing you know, I'm staying and leaving at 4 a.m. and then I'm just not leaving, and he knows. Oh, does he know? One night, she goes out to get me a pack of cigarettes. And I get a phone call. He's following me. I'm like, oh, here we go. There's a pistol in the house, plus the kids. I think she was 3 at the time, 3-year-old had woken up. She's crying. I'm holding her. Next thing I know, oh shit. Okay. So, next thing I know, he's banging on the fucking window, right? I know you're in there, KT. Come out. I'm holding his friggin' kid. I'm no rat, but what am I supposed to do? Go out there and mollywop him with his kid and what? No. So I called the cops because that's what you're supposed to do, knowing his other brother is a cop in the town. More on that later. We call that foreshadowing in this business, Count Dankula. So, cops show up, he hauls ass. Of course, his brother covers up for him, whatever. Because she's trying to get a restraining order or anything. The cops are not helping. Like, he even went to her fucking lawyer's office and blew up at the lawyers, telling him, you're not taking my wife away. All this horse shit. Like, I still got all the documents. She backed up her computer on mine. I still got all her divorce shit. It was wild. He was pissed. I mean, I guess I understand why, but dude, you're a fucking meth muppet, you know what I mean? You get blasted, tooted, tweaked out your mind. You come home and sit on your video games all day. Well, I got a different kind of controller, you know what I mean? I pushed her buttons instead. So, whatever, fucking douche. I mean, we were so close. Her son even asked me to adopt him because, I'd been the only father figure this poor kid had his whole life. The only stable one, other than guys going in and out, in and out. Should have been a red flag. What are you gonna do? Yeah. So that keeps going on, and then we make plans to go camping. We've been together like 4 or 5 months, maybe something like that, maybe 6. I don't know. And so we go camping, and I've got a lupus flare up, so I'm dragging ass. I'm not doing too hot, and like I couldn't physically take the kids fishing, that kind of stuff. So it was a shitty trip. Packing up, I fucking literally break my back. I fractured 2 vertebrae like a fucking asshole. The seatbelt got jammed in the door, right? So the door wouldn't open. So I have a bright idea. I'm gonna lay down across the front seat of this little Dodge Durango, like an old style Durango. I'm laying across the front of it, so I'm like a friggin' question mark. I'm 6'5". I'm a big guy, And I put my feet against the friggin' driver's side door. My back, I got pressed against the other door, and I start pushing with all my might, like I'm gonna break open a car door. I heard, and it felt like lightning went through my whole body. I know what Kaya felt like, the poor puppy. Lost feeling in my legs for a second. I got pins and needles everywhere. I thought I was gonna go to the bathroom on myself. Like it was scary. I tried walking it off. That didn't work. End up at the hospital. They tell me, you got your broken back there, whatever. So we're fighting now. Like this whole time, the camping trip was so bad. We're arguing, and we leave, not together. She calls up my buddy to have him bring me home. Okay, that's weird. But I'm in so much pain and doped up on morphine, I don't care. I just want to go lay down. So, my buddy gets me home. The next day, we all meet up back at the campground, you know, to get this. Oh, no, 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 no. That's right. Right before I broke my back, when we met at the campground to finish cleaning up the site and getting all our stuff, the little one comes up to me. I saw my daddy. Yeah, she went and got railed by him that night after our miserable camping trip. Then I broke my back. So we're arguing the whole time. That's right. That's why we were arguing. Because I knew. I knew. You know? And, whatever. Sucks. Uh, so we leave separately. 2 days go by. I'm in the shower. Like, uh, she leaves me by myself in the camper. Because at this point, I'm pretty sure my kids had already moved with my ex down to Colombia, the 3 hours away. And I'm miserable. In total misery. She sends me a text. Your dog is outside. I'm in the shower. I can't hardly walk. And she brings my dog back to me. How am I going to walk him? How am I gonna get him food? I figured it out. Just thank God I got the greatest dog ever. Best walking dog you could ever wish for. He knew something was up, and he just stayed right by my side, and we went nice and slow. I still had my cane from I had surgery on both my knees for Osgood Schlatter disease. We can talk about that later if you want. But yeah, so using my cane, just I figured it out, and then like the greatest simp moron in the world, like a month goes by and we try it again. I went to her doctor's appointment with her. Mind you, she had double hip replacement. She's really young, a lot younger than me, but she had something wrong and she had to have both her hips replaced. I stayed with her day and night feeding her. Like literally, I got pictures of me feeding her. Her mother took them. You know, I was prepared to wipe her ass if it came to it. Now, she was not going to allow that to happen, and she figured it out. But that's what I was prepared to do. And this we try again. I go to the doctor with her because we had to meet up far away. Thankfully, her doctor was like an hour away. And we go down to Chinatown in her van in the mall parking lot. There's a reason why I'm telling that part of the story there. And anyway, it didn't work out. All the crying. How can you ever trust me again? I'm like, the fuck? I don't know. I'll figure it out. She's a great actress. So, doesn't work out. Then, maybe a few months later, I'm talking to my ex-wife. She tells me she's pregnant. Not my ex-wife, the girl I'm seeing there. I got snipped after my twins were born. So I'm like, ain't mine. Nope. And she tells me the due date, and I'm doing the math. I'm like, fuck, that's close. But I'm snipped. I ain't got shit to worry about. I got a lot to worry about. Turns out she lied about the due date because when that baby popped out, you take that baby's picture, you take the twins' picture from when they were newborns, it could have been fucking triplets. Now, she tells me, you keep your fucking mouth shut. I'm not telling him. I'm not putting all the kids through all this again. Da 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 da. And I was distraught. I didn't know what to do. I'm a mostly practicing Catholic. I try hard to do my best, but I don't know what to do there. But I know if there's ever a chance I'm gonna have a future relationship with this son, I need to keep my mouth shut and just let it blow up on its own, and then I can, step in and try to have a relationship. How he doesn't know, I have no fucking idea. He's either in denial, like he knows, but he doesn't want to say nothing. Because, I mean, you see these blue eyes? Every one of my sons has these blue eyes. His eyes are brown. Her eyes are brown. Where'd the blue eyes come from? So, I don't know how he doesn't know. And I'm just waiting for him to figure it out so I can step in and be in this child's life. Because obviously he's going to need some direction in how to be a good person. It's crazy. But one of the things we argued a lot about was money. There's not a lot of opportunities for a reformed retired criminal who is only in construction and has a big 10-year 10-year blip where he wasn't working. Nobody wanted to hire me, and that scared her. She was worried how, he can't support me and the kids. He can't get a good job. Totally understandable. I'm an old-fashioned guy. The man should support his wife and kids. Of course, that would have been a shitload of kids, but I, I would have had to figure it out. And out of the blue one day, after all this shit had happened, but before I found out it definitely was mine, I get a call from an ex-girlfriend from way back in 2000, 2001. She calls me up. I need your help. Now, not unusual. I've got excellent relationships with most of my exes. Because I am, a pretty good guy when it comes down to it. This particular ex, I had a particular relationship with, mainly with her family. Like, we were both so young. Her dad became like a second dad to me, and as I got older, that morphed into more like a best friend. I'd stay with them when I was in trouble, needed to hide, or, I just needed to reset my brain. I'd stay with them. So she calls me up. I need your help. I started an OnlyFans. It's doing well. I have no idea what I'm doing business wise. I need you. No. Hell no. I'm, old fashioned. I'm not into all the porno, keep your stepbrother and stepsister and fuck right off, Not into it. Calls me again and again. Now, she's hot. After we broke up, she went and got fake chesticles. She did some modeling for NASCAR. She had, she's hot. And I kept telling her no, I didn't want no part of that industry. And then her dad calls me and he says, look, I don't know what the hell's going on. She tells me she needs your help and you keep saying no. What the fuck? Help her. I can't say no to this man. Alright? So I set up her LLC, get her an accountant, get her a lawyer, handle the stuff with the ad agencies, all that good stuff, right? Worked out pretty well for both of us. Then her friend calls me. And then she told two friends, and she told two friends. And before I know it, I'm managing 13 different OF accounts. Now, I had nothing to do with no content. The only one I ever saw naked was my ex, and that was back in 2001. I saw a few of her pictures, but, you know, I didn't. That was one of my strictest rules. I don't see your content. I deal with the business and the business alone. That's it. Worked out pretty well for a while, but the whole time it was like gnawing at my soul. I knew, man, I don't want to be involved in this fucking business, man. It sucks, but I needed a job. I needed money. It got to the point where, all right, I'm either gonna try to make this work or I gotta make a new plan and find a new job. So I, all right, I'm moving out of the upstate. I sell my camper, I sell my Escalade, I sell everything. And I get down to Columbia to say goodbye to my sons. And I go to the Days Inn, this shitty little motel that I always stayed at in the past. It's the first hotel I stayed at when I first came down here, 17 years ago. My sons get there. I tell them what's going on. Tell them, hey, I'm moving to Boston. I'm going to open an office up there for my business. 6, 8 months, I'll be back. The waterworks. Oh, my Niagara Falls coming out of their eyeballs. My sons and I are very close. Very close. And this destroyed them, telling them I was going to move to Boston and leave them here with their very angry mother. I couldn't do it. Oh, I'm getting upset just fucking thinking about it. I couldn't say goodbye to him. So I said, all right, I'll go to Atlanta. Same distance as I just was at the upstate. Go to say goodbye again. Now this time I can't do it. So I end up staying at that stupid fucking hotel for a year and a half. And I hated every fucking second of it. But when I say everything I needed was right there in walking distance, within a 2 block radius, I had supermarket, money restaurants, like 5 or 6 restaurants, Dollar General, everything I needed was right there. The location was perfect. My sons were 5 minutes down the street. It was great. Only problem is another meth haven, Literally, there was overdoses that I had to, try, because I told the guy, like, been in construction, let me work like an hour a day or something, take the price of the room down. Yeah, no problem. But fuck, was it a shithole. I mean, my ex wouldn't even let my son sleep over. It was that bad. And I didn't argue. No, I get it. Cool. So then after a year and a half, one of the maids tells me to go up to the Holiday Inn, 2 blocks up the road. Holiday Inn Express and Suites type deal. Sold. I go up there, I talk to them. They hire me on the spot. Put me on the desk. Not bad at all. Then they find out about my construction background. Their maintenance man had to go to rehab for booze. So they asked me to fill in while he was in rehab. Sure, no problem. And they see my work. No more front desk. They did bring the guy back when he got back from rehab, but he couldn't keep the bottle out of his fucking mouth. I quit drinking years ago. I fucking hate drunks. And so now I'm the full-time maintenance man. And the owner of the hotel takes notice of me. He loves talking to me, I'm thinking about doing this. What do you think? Thinking about he's a good man. He likes bouncing ideas off me. I do have a pretty good brain for business, I guess. And he buys a new hotel, a bigger, swankier, fancier hotel. So now he's got 3 hotels. So he promotes me to chief engineer over all 3 hotels. Gives me this beautiful suite. God is good, man. I left all the bullshit behind. I don't do anything illegal, sort of. You know, Maybe a little gambling here and there, but nothing's gonna send me to jail. Um, yeah. So now I live in this beautiful top floor corner suite. Took me just about 4-ish, 5 maybe years to go from sleeping in state parks in a tent to having a tent collapse with snow on me, to a cabin, to a camper, to a shitty hotel, to a really nice hotel. What the hell do I got to complain about? You know? Now, don't know if you noticed, but yeah, it's been like 6, 7 years since my divorce. I've been with one woman. Not for lack of trying, but see, when I got married, all these dating apps, they were still kind of in their infancy. And you didn't use a dating app unless you were some kind of fucking extra chromosome fucking moron, you know? Only 300-pound whales and retards used them. Now everybody uses them. But I was married though. I got no idea how they work, what protocol and etiquette is on them. I got no clue. So I'm lost. You know, I get through like, hey, how you doing? A couple things, and then poof, they're gone. I don't know if it's because I don't want to bang right away. I don't know if it's because, you know, I if a chick's showing her tits and everything in the pictures, I ain't swiping. I'm old fashioned. I think modesty's sexy. You know, I don't want no part of these whores running around nowadays. Your body count's over 4 or something? That's fucking nasty. Good luck to you. So I'm not a Casey Tron incel. You know, I'm definitely not being celibate on purpose, but I'm also not gonna just go bang some chick just to bang some chick. Nah, that's fucking gross. I'm good. When God's ready for me to get together with someone again, I'll get together with someone again. I ain't stressing it. I ain't gonna rush it. You know, I spent my youth making dumb, bad decisions. Making smart decisions has worked out pretty good right now. So I think I'll stay on that path. But here's the thing, I don't make a ton of money, you know? I can't afford to give my kids all the things I want to give, you know? So far I bought them 2 electric scooters. Well, there's 3 kids. The fourth one in Massachusetts, he's 17. He's already driving a pickup, so he doesn't need an electric scooter. But you know, I wanna give my kids the life they deserve, the things, you know, I want them to be happy, and I'll do anything to make that happen, including this. This seems to be my best shot. I can't do any more physical work because of my lupus. I'm already, you know, I have to stretch for 2 hours every day before I head out to work because the pain is so intense. So, you know, I got this. I was pretty good with the OF stuff. Oh shit, I forgot about that. So I sold the OF business. You know, I saw this video about this thing called the Bop House. It's these like 18 to 20-year-old chicks, you know, doing OF all in the same house. It's so gross. And they brought a 17-year-old into the house to like promote her TikTok. But come on, you were advertising the next chick up. It made me sick to know I was part of that. So I got rid of that business. That's actually what really led to my promotion. Because when I got rid of the business, I knew I wouldn't be able to give them the courtesy of being able to know I'm going to be there on time every day. Because I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to afford the shithole I was staying in. And I put in my 2 weeks notice and they said, no, no, we got plans for you, buddy. So getting rid of the bad stuff led to great things. But it was destroying my soul, that friggin' business. I thought about trying to cross over and sign some social medias, some influencers and stuff that keep their clothes on. But I approached a couple people online. But how do you do that when you're a small boutique operation? How do you convince people, hey, I'm legit? What, have a girl talk to them? I could get any girl off the street to pretend I'm doing this and that for 'em. Nah, nah, it didn't work out. But I think this will work out. I do. I have to make it work out. This is my shot to give the kids the things they need, especially once it comes out that I've actually got five, not four sons. I mean, as it is, most checks child support gets more than I do, you know. So throw another kid on there, and if I don't get something else going on, I'm gonna be fucked. Which means my kids will be fucked, and I won't allow that. So sign up. I meant what I said in my other videos. I'll never do an ad. I'll never have paid memberships. Well, maybe paid memberships, but nobody will ever influence what I say to you guys except for you guys. Donations, subs, that's it. I know those advertising assholes. I know how they operate. And nobody is going to temper what I say to you. I'm going to give you the facts and the truth as best as I can. I use multiple sources to figure out what's going on with a particular story. I get it from the left, I get it from the right, and then I piece it together and figure out what's real. And then I give it to you. And I got more stories like this. I got a million more stories like this. Whoo! Maybe next one of these little fireside chats I do will delve into some of my criminal history. I have to think about which cases are still open and keep my mouth shut about those, but we'll have some fun. So, if you're still here, 48 minutes later, God bless you. God bless you. And thank you. Share it. Sub. Help a white boy out. I need to get these kids proper. Because if this fails,